jump ball the call. That'll be a United States ball. Timeout called by the Australians. 57-63. The United States have outscored the Aussies 11 points to 7. This was that last play. So both coaches get the opportunity to call the plays. What's the secret now for the Australians, Andrew Gaze?
Well, they really do need to apply themselves on the defensive end, get the stops. The United States with this 6-point advantage. Australia not in a position where they can just trade and rely on their offense. They need to get some stops and then put some points on the board. And I like it when they run. I like it when they get out in the open court. The United States defense in the half court, very, very good.
We're just breaking away for a moment. We're going to cross to the 7 newsroom for some more breaking news on the election with Jennifer Keyte. Hello again, I'm Jennifer Keyte. The Prime Minister has announced that Australia is going to the polls. Mark Riley joins me from our Canberra studios. And Mark, Mr Howard is about to have a media conference?
That's right, Jennifer. Mr Howard visited Mike Jeffrey, the Governor-General, at Government House at about 11:30 this morning, and they had a discussion about the election date and the proroguing of Parliament, the term that's used to describe the cancelling of the Parliament. And we're expecting him now to address the press gallery and through us, the nation, any moment now in the Blue Room, a conference room outside of the Prime Minister's office. The expectation is that John Howard will be calling an election for October 9, which gives us a 6-week campaign. He said very recently that the third term of his government would be up on November 10, which was only a month after that date, so that sounds like a good date for an election.
Why go to the polls now?
The primary reason, in my experience, the Prime Ministers call certain election dates is because they believe they can win the election on that date. I think for John Howard there's some complicating factors. Obviously the return of the Parliament on Monday for a 2-week sitting raises the possibility of him and his government going through the Children Overboard affair again for 2 weeks. The Labor Party has made it clear that if the Parliament were to be returned, it would reconstitute the Senate inquiry into that matter after the statements just recently by a number of people questioning what the Prime Minister knew before the last election about the veracity and certainly otherwise of the claims that children had been thrown overboard from that refugee boat, the Sea of Four. I think that politically a Prime Minister wants some lift-off into an election campaign, and it was pretty obvious that if John Howard was coming back to 2 weeks of damaging evidence about the Children Overboard affair, he wasn't going to get that lift-off.
Well, Mark, how personal do you think the campaign will get?
It could get very personal, Jennifer. I hope it doesn't. Really, I think personal politics is very unedifying for all involved, and particularly the electorate. It builds into that jaundiced view that a lot of people have about Australian politics. But I think for the first time in a very long time we have two incredibly different men standing for the highest elected office in the country. John Howard, who's quite well known of course to voters, a conservative gentleman who's been in politics for a very long time, who has a strong record on the economy, who took the country into the war in Iraq against public opinion but still made a tough decision there and stood by it. And Mark Latham, who is much lesser known, only been in the game of federal politics for the last 10 years or so, who is a much younger man who presents what we call a new political approach, well, policies that are predicated basically on the family, healthcare, education, and spreading the benefits of economic recovery to all, opportunity for all, as he says. So within that there is scope for personal attack. Mark Latham has made it clear in the last few weeks that Labor is going to centre its campaign on John Howard's honesty, questions of that honesty arising from Children Overboard and also the pre-war intelligence in Iraq. We know now the Prime Minister is just on his way to the press conference. He's just left his office, so we should be seeing him within 10 seconds or so. And here he is right now. we'll cross and hear what the Prime Minister has to say.
Good afternoon. First success of the campaign has started to rain a bit. Ladies and gentlemen, I saw His Excellency the Governor-General this morning, and on my advice he has agreed to a dissolution of the House of Representatives with a view to an election for the House of Representatives and half of the Senate to be held on Saturday, the 9th of October. The writs will issue on the 31st of August. Parliament will be both prorogued and the House of Representatives dissolved respectively at 4:59 on Tuesday and 5 p.m. Tuesday the 31st of August. The rolls will close on the 7th of September and polling day, as I mentioned, will take place on the 9th of October. This election, ladies and gentlemen, will be about trust. Who do you trust to keep the economy strong and protect family living standards? Who do you trust to keep interest rates low? Who do you trust to lead the fight on Australia's behalf against international terrorism? Who do you trust to keep the budget strong so that we can afford to spend more on health and education? The election will be about the future of this nation over the next 10 years. And in the weeks ahead, I will unveil detailed plans addressing the major challenges which face our nation over that 10-year period. Those plans will be based on the certain knowledge that all of our policies in the future, as they have been in the past, will be fully funded, eminently affordable, and coming off the base of about the most strongly performing economy in the Western world. Economic strength and economic stability is the basis of the realisation of other hopes and aspirations for a nation. Without economic strength and economic durability, all the goals in the world will not be achieved, and the great achievement of this government over the last 8.5 years is that we have delivered a strong, robust and competitive economy. Over that period of time, we have created 1.3 million new jobs. We have wiped $70 billion off the debt we inherited from the former Labor government. We have seen interest rates so critical to Australian families, particularly at the present time in an international climate of upward pressure on interest rates. We have seen those interest rates fall to 30-year lows. And importantly, we have delivered real wage increases to Australian workers of some 14% over that period. We have given to the Australian people and the Australian nation a sense of hope, a sense of prosperity and a sense of optimism. Australia is a proud, respected nation around the world, not only because of the inherent worth of the Australian people, which is always there and always our greatest asset, no matter who might be in government at a particular time, but it is undeniably the case that the economic strength and the determined and unambiguous stance Australia has taken on difficult international issues has given to our country a new dimension and a new respect. But in the process of doing these things, we have not neglected the vulnerable in our community. We have strengthened Medicare. And it is an irony of this election campaign that the only party promising to take away something from Medicare is in fact the Australian Labor Party. The Medicare safety net, the most important structural addition to Medicare in 20 years, is of growing benefit to Australian families and the more vulnerable in our community, yet Labor, for ideological reasons, is committed to taking that safety net away. Managing an $800 billion economy is a challenging task. It requires focus, experience and steadiness. It requires an experienced team. The successes that my government have had are not successes that I solely claim for myself. I have a great team. I have, in my view, the finest treasurer this country has seen in Peter Costello. I have in Alexander Downer an outstanding foreign minister. In Philip Ruddock, firstly a fine immigration minister and now a fine Attorney General. In Tony Abbott, somebody who's brought reforming zeal to the healthcare portfolio. In Brendan Nelson, who's brought great reforming zeal and negotiated through the Senate against all predictions major long-term systemic changes to our higher education system. So I present myself to the Australian people as an experienced, committed, focused Prime Minister who is leading an experienced, focused team that has a track record of success. It has been said by one of my predecessors that if you change the government, you change the country. A change to a Latham Labor government would be no mere adjustment at the margin. In two crucial areas, it would represent a real threat to the living standards of the Australian people and Australian families. The first and most sensitive of those is, of course, the area of interest rates. There's an historic fact that over the last 30 years, interest rates under Labor governments have always gone up because Labor governments spend more than they collect and drive budgets into deficit. So it will be with a Latham Labor government. And it's been...
Well, there's John Howard a little nervous at start, telling us that there will be an election on October 9. I think it was a very brave opening gambit by the Prime Minister. He said this election will be about trust, an issue that he expects to be thrown his way by the opposition during the campaign. He says it's about who can you trust to continue the economic strength of the country, to keep your interest rates low, obviously they're playing to the mortgage belt, and who can you trust with the national security of the country. The Prime Minister then emphasising that changing government, you also change the nation to say the stakes are high. Jennifer?
Thank you very much, Mark Riley, for joining us. Now it's back to Johanna Griggs and our Olympic coverage. And we'll have more highlights from day 15 in just a moment. Thank you.
Today Tonight would like to apologise to all those con men and fly-by-nights whose lives we have made a misery.
I'd just like to talk to you about these certificates. You're supposed to be in a wheelchair.
Can you get the camera off my face?
No.
He's just threatening me.
You don't have to be afraid of losing the house now.
You know what? We're just getting started.
Today Tonight returns Monday, August 30.
In 1982, the Wiambilla Fire Brigade started out with just a borrowed wooden trailer. Today, with the help of FRRR's Seeds of Renewal program and ANZ, we've been able to raise more funds through our Rural Fire Brigade muster. These funds help maintain our vehicles and equipment so we can fulfil our primary function of fire suppression and prevention.
Just one example of how the FRRR and ANZ partnership has helped small communities.
Where's the home for spanners?
Where's the home for sprays?
Where's the home
to save this Father's Day? Home Hardware. Make Dad's Day at our Father's Day Dog-a-Log sale. This hammer drill and jigsaw pack is just $99. And this toolbox value pack is only $14.95. The Father's Day Dog-a-Log sale.
Where?
Home Hardware.
featuring a new 5-speed auto with Sports Mode Active Select and Holden's all-new high-performance 190 kilowatt Alloy Tech V6. The new Commodore SV6. There's no holding back.
Now I've got a family, there's so much to do. You want to feel 100% every day. I use Centrum. Centrum has 27 essential vitamins and minerals. Try Centrum. It's complete from A to zinc. Do you feel 100%?
For no deposit, interest-free finance, call into Terryham Retrovision today. Use your existing AGC, Buyer's Edge or GE Credit Line card, or simply apply for finance on their full range of electrical appliances. Terryham Retrovision, Wendouree.
It's the show that had everyone in the US talking.
Are you attracted to me?
Are you looking for a slap?
James Spader joins the all-new Practice.
I'd be such a natural here.
Is he the good guy or the bad guy?
This would have to be our little secret.
And that's not the only surprise.
Would you mind keeping each stare to 8 seconds total?
Sharon Stone and Chris O'Donnell star.
I will make a favorable impression.
It's the new Practice. Monday, September 6th.
Prime's broadcast of the games of the 28th Olympiad, brought to you by the new Commodore SV6. There's no holding back.
Welcome back as we return to the Australia-United States gold medal game in Athens. The Americans lead 63-57 in the final quarter, and your commentators are Andrew Gaze and Basil Zempoulos.
6-point ball game, less than 3 minutes to play. The gold medal is on.